This is a tough question.
But the rules don't really apply, that they're just kind of there?
Rules don't apply to only who?
White men?
Close. What are
White
people
men.
called in the United States?
Citizens.
Citizens. What it says is that Negro slaves are not citizens of the United States. Now you think about that. If you're a free slave, if you're a free black man, are you a citizen? Yes. You are a citizen if you're free, but a slave you are not. So it's saying basically that slaves are not considered citizens of the United States.
What are they considered?
We're going to talk about that. So, now this is even weirder. Now keep in mind that the Supreme Court made their decision that said that he wasn't even a citizen. In essence, what that says, although it already happened, as not a citizen, he had no right to appeal at the local court, nor the state court, let alone the Supreme Court, because only citizens have the right to do that. So this decision by the Supreme Court on March 6th of 1857 it stated by law, Negro slaves were not citizens of the United States. Now, that'll take us to our written assignment, so I want you to kind of put everything away and we're going to go through this, and you're going to complete this, okay, after I read it to you. Nope, you will not need any notes. This is a really interesting case here. There's a lot of big rules in this ruling by the Supreme Court, so bear with me. But we're going to read through this because I think it'll help you understand it if I read through it with you first, okay? Unfortunately, I forgot my glasses, but I'll do the best I can. Okay, this document in front of you is called Roger B. Taney, Dred Scott versus Sanford of 1857. Okay? Now, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court at this time was Roger B. Taney. He served as Chief Justice and in the Supreme Court from 1777 to 1864. Now, this is his ruling. It starts when I start reading the question. This is his ruling. Now, it's a little bit convoluted, but bear with me and listen carefully. The question is simply this: can a Negro whose ancestors were imported into this country and sold as slaves become a member of the political community formed and brought into existence by the Constitution of the United States, and as such become entitled to all the rights and privileges and immunities guaranteed by that instrument to the citizen? Can a person that's been brought into this country and sold and bought as a slave be a citizen according to the United States Constitution? Is what that's saying. That's the question. One of these rights is the privilege of suing in court of the United States in the cases specified in the Constitution. The words people of the United States and citizens are synonymous terms that mean the same thing. They both describe the political body who, according to our Republican institutions, form the sovereignty and who hold the power and conduct the government through their representatives. They are what we familiarly call the sovereign people, and every citizen is one of this people and a constituent member of this sovereignty. The question before us is whether the class of persons described in the plea in abatement compose a portion of this people and are constituent members of the sovereignty. Question is, are Negroes brought into this country that were bought and sold citizens? This is what he's saying. We think they are not, and that they are not included and were not intended to be included under the word citizens in the Constitution, and can therefore claim none of the rights and privileges which that instrument provides for and secures to citizens of the United States. On the contrary, they were at that time considered as a subordinate and inferior class of beings who had been subjugated by the dominant race, and whether emancipated or not, yet remained subject to their authority, their masters, and had no rights or privileges but such as those who held the power and the government might choose to grant them. It is very clear, therefore, that no state can, by any act or law of its own, passed since the adoption of the Constitution, introduce a new member into the political community created by the Constitution of the United States. It cannot make him a member of this community by making him a member of his own. And for the same reason, it cannot introduce any person or description of persons who were not intended to be embraced in this new political family which the Constitution brought into existence, but were intended to be excluded from it. In the opinion of the court, the legislation and histories of the times, and the language used in the Declaration of Independence show that neither the class of persons who have been imported as slaves nor their descendants, whether they had become free or not, were then acknowledged as a part of the people, nor intended to be included in the general words used in that memorable instrument. Isn't that incredible? He is saying that those slaves have no rights as citizens in the United States. But free blacks would. If you think about it. So we look at the question on the back, and let's look at the second question first, and we'll just answer that right now. If you were listening, you should certainly know that. What founding documents does he cite as evidence in his decision? And the Declaration of Independence. So you can just go ahead and put that in there. The Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence. Now, what your job is tonight or this afternoon or whenever you want to work on this, because we're going to watch some rock and roll from the 1970s, is you're to answer question 2, the first part. Explain Taney's reasons for his decision. What were the reasons he gave in what we just read for not allowing Dred Scott to be free? Why is he not allowing Dred Scott to be a citizen of the United States? That's your job, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you one more thing before we watch the videos. When I am in Washington, D.C. with the seniors this year, I'm going to designate somebody in here to be able to have their phone with them during class. And from time to time, I will be sending pictures to that person, and you are going to be able to interrupt class and show the picture and try to figure out what I am talking about from your experiences here. Last year we went to the Capitol. We had a tour of the old Supreme Court building, and there was a nice bust on the wall of Roger Taney. So I took a picture of that and sent it back, and the kids had some time, and pretty soon they texted me back and said, that was the Supreme Court justice that denied Dred Scott his freedom. So you get some of that this year, and I'm not expecting you to pop that answer back to me by the end of class of who it is. So you'll be tested.
You can reverse those pictures.
You can? Well, you'll have to do that maybe. I don't know what that means because I'm too old.